What's going on, guys? Welcome back to WWE Network and Show, where I, Graham G. Matthews, break down all the original content I watch on the WWE Network and on Peacock. And today we're talking the October 29, 2022 edition of the SmackDown LowDown, being hosted by Jackie Redmond, Matt Camp in the studio. To start things off, they replay the Bray Wyatt promo that closed out the show before being interrupted by Uncle Howdy, who I suspect is probably Bo Dallas. Jackie even asked, who is Uncle Howdy? I don't know if she meant that in the sense of, who is this character, all about, or does she mean who's under the mask? Because I feel like they wouldn't ask the question, who's under the mask, if that's not where this is going. It may not even be revealed to be anyone. It might literally just be Uncle Howdy as, this abstract personality, and there's not supposed to be anyone revealed under the mask. That's very possible. So either way, I thought it was cool. Cool cliffhanger to the show. From there, they run down the biggest headlines from Friday's SmackDown, including the Rey Mysterio beatdown from Imperium backstage. Megan Morant backstage caught up with Imperium. Ludwig Kaiser said that Gunther's message in attacking Rey Mysterio on SmackDown was pretty clear as they head into the Intercontinental Championship match next week on the show. Gunther says that Rey is running away from his family issues right now, and that Rey is in it for himself, while Imperium is in it for the sport of wrestling. He doesn't say wrestling, but they're in it for the sport, he says. Matt Camp actually mentioned that Rey has not held the Intercontinental Championship since 2009, when he first beat JBL for it at WrestleMania 25, and he also won it for a second time a few months later when he lost it and regained it from Chris Jericho, which they did not mention here for obvious reasons. They then recap the return of Emma in the open challenge for the SmackDown Women's Championship, losing to Ronda Rousey. Liv Morgan, we hear from her backstage with Megan Morant. Liv says that next week in the no disqualification match, she's going to shut up Sonya Deville, and she's going to show Sonya what she lives for. They preview the match, talk about that a little bit backstage, before replaying Karrion Kross's win over Madcap Moss. They also recap the Bloodline versus Brawling Brutes matchup, which was won by the Brutes, as well as the entire Bloodline, not the entire Bloodline promo, that would have been great if they replay the entire thing here, but they did replay the highlights from the segment, which I usually skip through the replays here on SmackDown LowDown and on Raw Talk, but I watched this one again because it was just fucking great television. Anything with the Bloodline and Sami Zayn so far in recent months, really just in general, has been must-see television and has been the best thing going in WWE by a wide margin. This was tremendous. The Usi talk was great. Backstage, Megan Morant caught up with the Bloodline, sans Roman Reigns. It was everyone else but Roman Reigns. Sami said that some of us may have regretted what they said earlier in the night on SmackDown, while specifically looking over at Jay, which was a nice touch. He says, there's nothing to be upset about. Everything's going well in the Bloodline right now. The Usos are on the brink of becoming the longest reigning tag team champions ever in WWE, and Roman Reigns is a week away from smashing Logan Paul at Crown Jewel. And then he says, Waffle House is on me. He says, I love the hash browns. And with that one fucking line and talking about Waffle House, he literally made, I don't know if Solo cracked, Jay was fucking dying. Jimmy was dying. They said yeet a lot, and Jimmy was approving of what Sami said. Jay kind of came around to it because he knew that Waffle House was on Sami. He was dying of laughter when Sami said that he liked the hash browns. Jay was dying of laughter, as I am right now. It was tremendous. This was great. This episode of SmackDown LowDown was worth watching for this alone, but you can always single it out on WWE's YouTube channel as well. And to close out the show, Jackie and Matt preview the tag team title match between the Usos and the Brawling Brutes for Crown Jewel next weekend, and next week's matches for SmackDown on Friday, which include Ricochet versus LA Knight. We're going to be seeing Liv Morgan versus Sonya Deville, as mentioned earlier, in a no disqualification matchup, and Rey Mysterio challenges Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. So, pretty good show next week, it looks like, on SmackDown before we head into Crown Jewel on Saturday. So, this was a pretty decent SmackDown LowDown. Watch it for the Sami Zayn stuff. The Liv Morgan interview was very brief. The Imperium interview was straightforward and solid. So, decent edition of SmackDown LowDown per usual. But make time for the Bloodline segment with Sami and the Usos and Solo. If nothing else, that was awesome. So anyway, as they mentioned in my SmackDown audio review from earlier, I will very likely, and I'm almost positive, will not have a SmackDown LowDown review next week here on the channel, or a SmackDown audio review. I don't even think they're doing a SmackDown LowDown next week because the pay-per-view airs so early in the day. These episodes usually go live on Peacock around noon Eastern. The pay-per-view next week, I think, is at noon Eastern, if not at 1 or 2. So I don't think they're doing one. As far as for the SmackDown review, I usually record the show around when the pay-per-view is going to be starting, so I'm probably not going to be doing a SmackDown audio review next week, although it looks like a good show. They pre-taped it last night. I imagine nothing overly eventful will happen anyway. If there is, I will be breaking it down to my written reviews, as always, over at WrestleRant.com. With all of that being said, guys, thank you for joining me here on the review today. I appreciate it. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more daily content. Have a great rest of your weekend, guys. I'm Graham G. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.